After finishing the elective course and going downstairs, I accidentally missed a step on the stairs and fell. The people around reacted quickly. It wasn't fast to help me up, nor was it fast to contact the school infirmary. Instead, it was fast to send a message to Roman. Roman, your girlfriend has fallen. It's on the second floor on the west side of Building 6. Come quickly. I carefully moved my limbs. My palms and knees hurt a bit, but it was still bearable. I probably didn't hurt my bones. No need, Before I could finish my words of refusal, Roman's voice came from the enthusiastic classmate's phone. Without his usual lazy tone, he sounded a bit anxious. 2 minutes. Don't let him be stubborn. So, as I was holding on to the wall and taking a step down, I was pushed back to my original position by everyone. When Roman appeared at the stair corner, several boys erupted into layers of cheering and screaming. He stood on a platform a few steps below and looked up at me, his chest still heaving violently. The afterglow of the sunset was burning behind him, and the area around Waiming Lake was covered in a golden greenery. He was more dazzling than the midsummer. My heart was pounding wildly. Ignoring the noise around, Roman strode over to me and squatted down. Where does it hurt? My knees. I lowered my voice. Actually, you didn't have to come. Roman automatically ignored the second half of my sentence. Give me your hand. I was stunned for a moment and didn't move. Roman hooked his lips and smiled. It's okay if you don't give it. The next second, I felt a brief sense of weightlessness. When I came to my senses, I was firmly in his arms. He nodded to the boy who had made the call. Thanks. Then he carried me straight downstairs. On the way to the school infirmary, I still put my arms around his neck. Where he couldn't see, I greedily sniffed the faint fragrance of soap on him. Hey, Jackson, how old are you? You still trip while going downstairs. You scared me to death. Sorry, I was distracted. The distraction was because he heard the name Roman. Some girls were asking about his contact information, and a classmate nudged me with a mischievous smile and said, Well, ask his girlfriend. I was stunned for a moment and then missed a step. Actually, I'm just a roommate who has a relatively good relationship with Roman, without any other ambiguous status. Those who were making a ruckus just now knew this well, so they dared to make such bold jokes. It's just a farce among straight guys. But none of them, including Roman, knows that I'm really gay, nor do they know that I really like Roman. If they knew, they'd definitely avoid me like the plague. Not to mention being friends, we couldn't even be roommates. I'm well aware of this. The school nurse confirmed that it was nothing serious and gave me a bottle of iodine to apply back in the dormitory. There were too many people on the way back to the dormitory area. I refused to let him carry me no matter what. How about I give you a piggyback? No need. Roman couldn't persuade me and clicked his tongue, then compromised and put his arm around my waist. Seeing me still being coy, his smile deepened a bit. Come on, wife, isn't this okay? I gave in. This kind of straight guy who casually calls someone wife might say something even more astonishing in the crowd. Leaning most of my weight on him, it wasn't difficult to shuffle along. Just as we shuffled to the dormitory building, he bent down and picked me up in one smooth motion, catching me off guard. Roman, I can walk by myself. I tried to push his chest. Laughable, I couldn't even budge him. Stop being naughty. Roman tightened his grip. Walking like this is too slow. Indeed, the dorm was on the 4th floor. Shuffling like this, I didn't know when we'd get there. It would be too torturous for him. I gave in again. Finally, Roman put me on the table and let me step on his legs while he rolled up my trouser legs for me. I was wearing a pair of long trousers. The trouser legs weren't very loose. When he rolled them up halfway, the layers of fabric started to rub against my wound. Hearing me gasp in pain, he immediately let go. The dark red blood seeped into the fabric and gradually spread. Roman dealt with the situation straightforwardly. Take them off, he said as he reached for my belt. I instinctively covered it. Roman, who was interrupted, looked up at me, slightly raising his eyebrows and asked, Then should I cut them? They were new and cost 300 yuan. I compromised again. With my skin exposed to the air, I nervously pressed my legs together. Fortunately, Roman didn't act flirtatiously as he usually did. He just lowered his head and concentrated on applying medicine to my wound. I felt a little relieved. He must have rushed over from the dormitory. His hair was a bit messy, and he didn't even notice the tuft of spiky hair. He looked a bit cute. I wanted to touch it. "If you want to touch it, just do it," he suddenly said, which startled me. How could he see through my thoughts even when he kept his head down? Who wants to touch it? Hearing this, Roman looked up and smiled openly. I want to touch it. I really got choked by the straightforwardness of this straight man. It was common for him to ruffle my hair. He would often put his hand on my head and stroke it like stroking a cat. It would seem so petty and ungracious of me to be awkward at this moment. So I leaned forward on my own initiative. "Touch it," I said. Wasn't I being generous enough? Roman put his hand on me, but not on my head. His warm palm slid inside my thigh. I was stunned and my whole body suddenly tensed up. Ouch, don't squeeze me. The veins on his well-defined hand popped up as he firmly pinched the soft flesh inside my thigh. Roman. He lifted his eyelids and smiled at me. Huh? Didn't you agree? Who agreed to let him touch my thigh? Just as I was about to refute, the dormitory door suddenly opened, and the voices of the other two roommates squeezed in. The normal conversation turned into an exclamation after they saw the state of Roman and me. Did we come back at a bad time? You got it. Roman grabbed his pants and covered my legs, then got up and tightened the lid of the iodine. Only then did they notice that a large area of my knee was purple. They surrounded me with concern and said, Jackson, how did you get injured? Have you been to the school infirmary? Why didn't you tell us earlier? We could have brought you food back and made sure you were well fed. Look, these noisy but kind-hearted straight guys. No need. I'll go and buy it. Roman took over the conversation and waved his phone at me. Send me a message about what you want to eat. The two roommates exchanged a look, and their tones immediately became ambiguous. Roman, it's my fault for being ignorant. You can go with confidence. We'll take good care of your girlfriend. I couldn't get a word in edgewise at all. I couldn't help but recall how we had become like this in our current way of getting along. In the first class of college, the teacher played a king and queen game with us. Everyone's names were written on playing cards, shuffled, and then randomly distributed. Whoever's name was written on the card you got would be your queen. You had to take care of him silently throughout the 4-year college life. Coincidentally, the playing card that Roman, who was sitting next to me, received had my name on it. You saw it. Now I can't be silent anymore. He held the card between his fingers, turned his head, and raised his eyebrows at me with a smile. I'm very glad to be your king. In fact, everyone forgot about it after the game, and probably only he took it seriously. He had taken good care of me this year. Somehow, one day his care turned into spoiling. He spoiled me so much that even the people around us couldn't stand it. Roman first called me his wife during a basketball game. With a beautiful 3-pointer, he eliminated the other team's hope for an overtime. Amid the cheers and screams, he ran towards me, took the water from my hand, and gulped it down. The water droplets rolled down his moving Adam's apple and into his sports vest. He took off his hair tie, looking high-spirited and smiling brightly. Wife, am I handsome? After a momentary cardiac arrest, my heart started to beat wildly and violently. I tightly grasped the side seam of my pants to barely suppress the desire to confess my love in public. After 2 days of suffering in the chaotic and restless mood, I mustered up all my courage and planned to officially confess my love to him. When I found him in the equipment room, he was leaning against the wall, shaking his head helplessly at the boy in front of him. I'm convinced. I just can't be gay at all. I'm straighter than a steel plate. My burning and anxious heart felt as if it had been dipped in ice water, going cold silently. It turns out that I'm not the only boy who likes him. It's not surprising. After all, he is so handsome. Fortunately, I didn't confess my love. Otherwise, it would have been me being rejected to my face. When Roman came back, I had already taken a shower and was blow-drying my hair. He frowned slightly and looked a little unhappy. What's the rush? Have you forgotten you can't get wet? I wrapped it with plastic wrap. Actually, I deliberately took a quick shower while he was out. I knew clearly that he would definitely help me if he was around. What if I couldn't control myself and had some inappropriate reactions? I had to avoid that. After transferring the money for the meal to him, I suddenly remembered the girl who asked for his contact information. By the way, someone wants your contact information. Can I give it to her? Roman paused in his actions. What do you think? He seemed to be waiting for my answer. Of course, I didn't want to give it in my heart, but I couldn't say it directly. I could only vaguely throw the initiative back to him. How would I know? She's from the School of Economics and Management next door. She's quite cute, with big eyes and fair skin. Oh, no. His voice was cold. So he doesn't like cute girls. Then what kind of girls does he like? The mature and elegant type? After all, he has a thing for long legs. I already have a wife. Don't give it to anyone from now on. I was stunned and instinctively retorted to him. Be serious. What are you talking nonsense about? I wondered if it was an illusion, but Roman's eyes darkened. He handed me the chopsticks and sat down beside me in silence. I don't want to have a girlfriend. This is quite a difficult situation because I added that girl. Her name sounds quite nice. It's Lily. There were so many people there at that time. I was afraid she'd be embarrassed and unable to save face, so I added her first and promised to ask him for her. I picked up a chopstick full of shredded pork in fish sauce and stuffed it into my mouth, chewing slowly. After considering my words carefully, I sent a message to her. Sorry, Roman may not have the intention to be in a relationship at present. How about you tell him in person? Immediately, she sent a series of panicked emoji. Who wants to confess to him? Doesn't he have you? I'm not interested in getting involved in others' romantic lives. My face burned a bit. I quickly explained, no, we're not a couple. It was just a joke. Oh, I don't understand you city folks. She sent a photo and my hands that were typing away stopped. I secretly took this photo in the library yesterday. I wanted to send it to him and by the way ask if he's interested in being a free model for the photography club. His aura is too strong and I didn't dare to ask him in person. I'm afraid he'd give me a hard slap and confiscate my evidence-taking tool, woo-woo. In the photo, Roman was sitting by the window and the sunlight shone on his shoulders. He was propping his chin and staring blankly out of the window. Blue windows, dark green curtains, a pure white T-shirt, and golden arcs of light. I've always thought that the more dazzling a person is, the more the sun favors and dotes on them, and they have the ability to make the years pale in comparison. Roman is such a person. I silently clicked on the original image and saved the photo. Who are you chatting with? Roman suddenly spoke, scaring me so much that I immediately turned off the screen and instinctively turned the phone over on the table. Still feeling it wasn't enough, I took a big mouthful of rice to cover it up. He frowned slightly and raised his hand to touch my puffed out cheeks with the back of his hand. Your face is all red. I felt a bit uncomfortable and leaned back a little. It's that girl. She asked if you're interested in being a model for the photography club. Roman looked at me with his beautiful eyes. After a while, he snorted, so you added her. Is she really that cute? Well, so are you interested? Not interested. He was straightforward. Thinking about it carefully, it seemed that he was a bit angry. I don't know what he's angry about. Did I overstep my bounds? Roman has always hated troublesome people and things. This time, I really did go too far. However, the photo that girl took is really good. While Roman turned around, I opened the dialogue box again. Do you have more? Give me some more. Yes, but they are the original photos. Wait for me to organize and retouch them. The original ones are okay too. No way. Unretouched photos must never be spread out from my hands. Not even one. All right, I'll wait. With a smile on my face, I admired the photos again. I was so absorbed that I didn't notice that Roman had already turned around. His eyes were deep and I didn't know what he was thinking. The wound on my knee recovered quickly under Roman's care. As a token of gratitude, I invited him to a meal. After the meal, when passing by the cinema, he grabbed me. It's still early. There's nothing to do when we go back to the dormitory. Let's watch a movie, by the way. Watching a movie. Isn't it a bit too ambiguous? Just as I was thinking about it, I heard him say, I'll treat you. Okay. I readily agreed. I haven't bought tickets at the cinema counter temporarily for hundreds of years. I was completely at a loss. The best viewing areas were already out of seats. The remaining ones were all in the corners. Let's sit here. Roman pointed at the last row with his slender fingers. When I leaned over to take a look, they were couple seats. I was scared to death. I forced myself to keep my expression calm and tried to look as nonchalant as possible. Aren't there 2 adjacent seats here? They are 2 off center. All right, it would be too deliberate to refuse again. He's a good buddy and roommate. It's nothing to sit in a couple seat. Yeah. After taking our seats, I found that there were real couples sitting on both sides. As soon as the movie started, they were all over each other. I leaned tightly against the partition on one side, staring straight at the big screen, looking completely absorbed. In fact, all my attention was on Roman. He stretched, took a sip of Coke, ate a French fry, and then he leaned over. I instantly tensed up. It's a bit cold. Yeah. I nodded stiffly. The air conditioning is turned up too high. How's your knee? As he said that, his warm palm covered it and gently massaged it. He held my knee with one hand and propped his other hand on the partition beside my shoulder. I was completely embraced by him. There was no way to avoid it, so I could only pretend to accept it calmly. It's okay. Thanks, buddy. You're so nice. Roman, who was leaning on me, was stunned for a moment. He didn't withdraw his hand or sit up straight. He just fell silent. It's better if he doesn't say anything. I can't handle it. I sat still and endured it for half an hour. I didn't take in a single bit of the plot. All my senses were on high alert, fearing that Roman, who exuded charm everywhere, would make a sudden move. As a result, I didn't miss a single sound from the couple beside us. Oh, stop it. That coquettish complaint really broke me. I'd like to ask, how can these couples be so blatant and act as if no one else is around? You guys should at least watch the movie. Roman obviously heard it too. He let out a soft laugh and the sound vibrated slightly against my chest. What do you think they're doing? His breath fell on my ear, tickling me. There are surveillance cameras. They can't do anything out of line. He responded in a low voice, but the hand that was originally propped on the partition slowly moved down and landed on my waist. After pausing for a second, he didn't hesitate to slip his hand under my shirt. Can the surveillance camera capture this? I almost jumped up. I used all my strength to keep my voice steady. It can't. They're just being hands-on. Men are like this. They act like this towards the people they like. It's as if they'll lose out if they don't touch them. As soon as I finished speaking, Roman was silent for a moment. So this sentence seemed to be mocking me and doubting that I'm also a man. Nonsense, of course I know. It's not something to be proud of. Sigh, only the straight, laced, boundary-less straight guy doesn't know. He's always sticking to me, hugging me, and touching me. If I hadn't heard him say that he's straighter than a steel plate with my own ears, I would really have thought he liked me out of self-conceit. If you don't intend to marry, why flirt? I hate it. Roman withdrew his hand and leaned back on the chair. Only when he moved away from me did I realize that the air conditioning in the cinema was really turned up too high. It's a bit cold. When the movie was almost over, Roman went out to answer a phone call. My friends invited me to have a late night snack. Oh, then go first. I'll go back to school by myself after watching the movie. I heaved a sigh of relief, but after relaxing, there was an indescribable sense of loss in my heart. His friends. Roman really has a good popularity. Stars always surround the shining ones. If it weren't for that king and queen game, maybe I would never have so much interaction with him. I picked up the Coke and took a sip. There was too much ice in this cup, and after it melted, it tasted as bland as water. Just as I was worrying about how to go back to school later, Roman suddenly grabbed my wrist and pulled me up. The movie is boring. Come with me. They are all very nice. Get to know them. You can play together often in the future. Seeing that I was still hesitating, he raised his eyebrows and smiled, or do you want to continue eavesdropping? The young couple next door was already kissing with smacking sounds. I felt a numbness on my scalp and immediately followed Roman out. His friends are really enthusiastic and easy to get along with. But what I didn't expect was that the boy who confessed his love to Roman in the equipment room and was rejected was actually there too. Everyone else stood up and greeted noisily. Only he sat there, shifting his gaze from me to Roman without saying a word. After everyone sat down, he suddenly grabbed a large handful of grilled skewers and held them in front of Roman, complaining in a familiar tone, "I've been waiting for you for ages." He stole a glance at Roman, who looked quite natural, and took them with a smile, saying, "My fault. Send me the bill later." After that, he lowered his eyes, picked out a few skewers, and placed them on the plate in front of me. He leaned over and whispered, "Try them. Don't eat the overcooked ones." I was still shocked that one could still be friends after a failed confession and just nodded blankly. Someone said cheerfully and teasingly, Roman is getting better at taking care of people. Roman put a few skewers of heart meat on the grill and didn't deny it. I still have a long way to go. I subconsciously glanced at the boy opposite. He pursed his lips and showed no expression. Barbecue gatherings are never short of a lively atmosphere. His friends are very talkative, and gradually I no longer felt the initial unease. When the gathering was almost over, I rummaged through my pocket and found that the candy box was empty. Roman is used to chewing a few mint candies after eating heavy, flavored food. I've always been his walking mint candy provider. I'll go buy some. I'll go with you. I glanced at the game interface on his phone that had just started, and someone next to him was urging, Roman, hurry up and ban the opposing shooter. No need. The convenience store is just next door. He hesitated for 2 seconds and then nodded. Okay. This convenience store unexpectedly has a wide variety of goods. I squatted down and spent a long time choosing flavors. When I stood up, I found that there was an extra person beside me. My hand involuntarily tightened around the candy box. It was that boy. He was the only one who didn't introduce himself and didn't talk to me. I don't even know his name. Hello. I tried my best to show a friendly smile. Are you here to buy candy too? He folded his arms and leaned against the shelf, coldly raising his eyelids. Could you stay away from him? Could you stay away from Roman? My mind went blank. It seemed that my language ability had vanished from my body. I opened my mouth but couldn't say a word. I stood there stiffly, staring blankly as he frowned and showed a disgusted expression. You really enjoy being taken care of and cared for by him, don't you? You just keep enjoying it and stubbornly occupy this position without leaving. It's quite shameless. I've known Roman for more than 10 years. I really can't stand it anymore. Once he starts something, he won't end it easily. I don't want to say something too harsh. Do you understand? His words made me blush with shame all over, and I hung my head in humiliation, feeling extremely embarrassed. My mind was too chaotic, and I stammered out an apology. Sorry, but I don't mean to monopolize him. We're not in that kind of relationship. So that's the point. He suddenly raised his voice, stood up straight and pushed me hard. Can't you be a bit more self-aware? Just get out of his way and stop affecting his normal dating. My heart dropped sharply after a violent tremor. His roar woke me up. Indeed, I can't go on like this anymore. Roman is a very responsible person. He has taken care of me for so long in a useless game that no one cares about, without asking for anything in return. And what have I done? I meanly hid my own little thoughts and pretended to be deaf and dumb to enjoy all this. Really, it's so shameless. Has Roman already grown tired of it? It's just that in the past year, everyone's booing and cheering have put him in a difficult position. He's on the tiger's back and can't get off, so he has to continue being nice to me. Jackson? Roman's voice pulled me back to reality. I looked up and that boy was gone. He walked up to me and frowned. What happened? You look so pale. I quickly avoided his outstretched hand and casually rubbed my face. It's okay. I was just lost in thought. Are you done? Yeah, it's over. Roman's gaze always stayed on my face. He pursed his lips and tentatively asked, Did Cooper say anything to you? I quickly denied it. No, let's go back to school quickly. We're almost going to miss the dormitory curfew. Neither Roman nor I had the key, and our roommate let us in. Oh, we thought you two lovebirds weren't coming back tonight. A usual joke, but it sounded extremely awkward at the moment. I instinctively retorted, Don't say such things anymore. It's quite boring. The roommate was stunned and looked at Roman behind me, looking extremely surprised. I really didn't have the extra energy to explain. Cooper's words were like a heavy hammer, smashing my self-deceiving dream and the delicate balance between Roman and me. I'm so confused. Now I just want to curl up in the quilt alone. I took 2 steps inside when my wrist was suddenly grabbed. Jackson, come out for a moment. I have something to tell you. I struggled, but he held me even tighter. Let's talk about it tomorrow. Roman was relentless and showed no sign of backing down. The roommate looked at me and then at Roman and quickly pushed me out the door. Come back after you're done talking. Looking at the door closing in front of me, I felt even more depressed. Roman pulled me to the stairwell and unceremoniously pinned me in the corner. What do you mean? He was always emotionally stable, never in a hurry no matter what happened, but at this moment his expression was definitely not calm. I avoided his gaze and said softly, it means exactly what it says. Don't do this anymore in the future. Don't do what? Be clear. Don't let others misunderstand our relationship. We're just roommates and ordinary friends. His breathing suddenly hitched. Jackson, look at me when you speak. I gritted my teeth and didn't move. Roman raised his hand and held my chin with his thumb and forefinger, forcing me to look him in the eye. I met his incredulous gaze, and a strong sense of sourness welled up in my heart. Why? Did I do something that you dislike? Everything was fine this afternoon. What on earth did Cooper say to you? Don't. I remembered what Cooper said, closed my eyes, and interrupted him. It'll delay your normal dating. As soon as I said this, the force that held me suddenly loosened. Roman stood in front of me with his head down, not saying a word, looking very calm. But his chest was rising and falling as if he was brewing a storm of emotions. The two of us fell into a delicate stand-off. I thought he probably wasn't used to it. It had been a whole year, and being told this out of the blue, he was a bit at a loss. Just as I was thinking about how to break the awkwardness, my phone suddenly vibrated. I felt like I'd been granted amnesty and quickly opened it. It was from Lily. She was sniveling over there. Woo, I really can't find any good, looking and free of charge handsome guys. Can you, for the sake of the photos, accompany me to take some pictures? I won't provide a meal, but there'll be lemonade. Just as I was halfway through typing a reply, Roman in front of me suddenly took 2 steps back. He put his hands in his pockets and smiled with a curl of his lips. However, that smile looked sarcastic no matter how one looked at it. I understand. I've been keeping you from finding a girlfriend, right? Roman didn't return to the dorm that night. His roommate was shocked and surprised. Did you two quarrel? I evaded the question vaguely, then couldn't help but nudge him, ask him where he's gone. Don't say it was me asking. After getting the reply, he's gone home, I felt a bit relieved. I'd heard from the start that his family lived in the local wealthy area. But except for the winter and summer vacations, he was at school almost every day. I'd almost forgotten about that. What's going on with you two? You're like a couple. Make up after a quarrel. He realized something and suddenly stopped talking, carefully sizing me up. Sorry, it's a habit. I shook my head. It's okay. I'll get used to it in the future. It was as if I was talking to him and also to myself. I hardly slept all night. The next day, Lily was startled when she saw me. Well, let's change from the fresh campus style to the post-apocalyptic desolate style. I wasn't in the mood and just let her do as she pleased. We spent an afternoon taking pictures on the rooftop. She plopped down on the ground carelessly and started selecting and editing the photos. I leaned against the rooftop wall, staring blankly at the distant buildings. What is Roman doing now? People really shouldn't be idle. Once idle, I can't help but miss him. Do you want to keep shooting? Lily picked up her phone to check the time. For some reason, she let out an "oh." I straightened up. If not, I'll go back first. Hey! Roman added me on the contact. I stopped in my tracks and turned my head, suspecting I'd misheard. Look! Lily turned the phone screen towards me. It was really him. Didn't he say he wouldn't add anyone and wasn't interested? Why, I felt a bit uncomfortable. Suppressing this strange feeling, I asked, what does he want by adding you? He hasn't replied to me yet. Maybe he's been convinced by my photography. Wow, he got my contact from our club president. Why didn't he ask you for it? Did you two really quarrel? Where did you hear that? I don't know. Anyway, there are always rumors about you two in the school. How distorted these rumors must be. I looked down at the chat window between Roman and me. It was still showing yesterday's message where I sent him the money for the late-night snack and the adult movie. He neither accepted the money nor replied. This morning, I specifically composed a new message, trying to give both of us a way out. When are you planning to come back? Are you still angry? Actually, I understand. You're used to hugging casually without any burden. It's a bit uncomfortable to suddenly stop. Honestly, buddy, aren't soft and fragrant girls more interesting? I originally thought he just overslept and didn't see the message. It turned out he'd read it, but didn't reply. What's he up to? It's like a real couple having a quarrel. Last night, I tossed and turned in bed, unable to figure out what he was angry about. Does he think I dislike him? Did the words ordinary friends hurt his feelings? Now, I have a vague understanding. I looked at Lily. Maybe he's bothered by how close I am to Lily and thinks I'm trying to steal someone's significant other. After all, the person she wanted to add at first wasn't me. By the way, I finished editing and organizing the photos from last time. Do you still want them? Yes. One of the photos is a bit of a dud because the aperture wasn't set right, but the atmosphere is really strong. I'll send it to you. It was still in the library. In the photo, he was looking down and typing on his phone. His sharp outline and the lines of his profile had a soft, film-like quality under the overexposed light. It's hard to ignore the smile on his eyebrows and lips. It's very gentle. I'd like to name this the pose of a lover. Hearing her say that, I was stunned. What time was this taken? Lily picked up the camera and rummaged through it. 4:30 p.m. last Wednesday. Looking at the chat history on my phone screen, I was in a daze. 4:30 p.m. last Wednesday. Roman took a photo of the clouds outside the window in the library. When he sent it to me, he added a caption. This cloud looks a bit like you. I'm so bored. I can't read a single word. I should have accompanied you to class. When does class end? I'll come and pick you up. Suddenly, I realized that Roman has the right to know my feelings. Although he has a flamboyant personality, his heart is very soft. I shouldn't have let him get caught up in an emotional whirlpool. I want him to know that this year, I've cherished and been grateful for every moment spent with him. Whether he thinks I'm sly or dislikes me at that time, it's his choice. He has the right to choose. After I got back to the dormitory, Roman still hadn't returned. I waited restlessly until it got dark and then made a voice call to him. He finally answered on the 7th call. But it was Cooper's voice that came from the other end. Aren't you annoying? I've hung up on you so many times and you still call. I took a deep breath and clenched my phone tightly. Where's Roman? Let him answer the phone. Are you being reasonable? I've already told you not to. Let him answer the phone. The person on the other side couldn't help but curse. Damn it. Can't you understand human language? I got angry too, a loser whose confession was rejected. Hurry up and give the phone back to Roman. Cooper suddenly fell silent as if his throat had been grabbed and his voice was hesitant with uncertainty. Whose confession was rejected? I didn't have the time to argue with him because I knew clearly that I would soon be that loser, sob. Roman may not be able to answer the phone right now. I've never seen Roman so drunk. After stuffing him into the taxi, Cooper stood beside the car and stammered. Well, we didn't force him to drink. He drank on his own. All his friends nodded frantically. Yeah, we just couldn't stop him. Someone even whispered, oh no, Roman must be henpecked. I was really confused and rubbed my face. Am I being too fierce? I was really anxious to see him drunk to the point of blacking out because it's really bad for his health. Roman frowned tightly all the time after getting drunk, which was very different from his usual calm and unrestrained appearance. I couldn't help but reach out to smooth his frown. As soon as my fingertips touched him, my wrist was grabbed. He mumbled aggrievedly. Wife. My heart melted into a puddle. I really wanted to record it and play it repeatedly when I was alone in my old age. The driver said coldly, it'll cost you $500 if he vomits in the car. I immediately covered Roman's mouth. Afraid that taking care of a drunk would disturb my roommates if it was too late, I booked a room near the school. He groaned all the way and didn't stop until we reached the hotel downstairs. When we got into the elevator, I pressed him into the corner to keep him from falling. He rubbed his eyes and stared at me, but his eyes were out of focus. I sighed. In this state, there's nothing I can say. I can only wait for him to wake up. However, when he wakes up and finds himself in the hotel, won't he think that I've done something inappropriate to him? Just as I was thinking about how to prove my innocence, a shadow suddenly fell in front of me. I looked up and met his misty eyes. They were red and staring directly at me. Roman? He ignored me. But the next second, he held my face and lowered his head, unhesitatingly kissing my lips. So soft. No. It's over. This is so improper. When he wakes up, he'll come after me with a knife. While struggling, I also had to prevent him from falling. Roman. Do you know what you're, doing? The response was a gradually more intense and passionate kiss. Ding! The elevator door opened and a gust of wind rushed in. As if waking from a dream, I suddenly pushed him away. The tingly and burning sensation still lingered on my lips. It gradually dissipated in the air. I hugged Roman, feeling lost. Let's consider it an advanced consolation prize for failure. But there were too many of these consolation prizes. When staggering in the corridor, when leaning against the door to open it, and when being pushed onto the bed as soon as I entered the room. It didn't stop. My consciousness was fragmented, but my mouth could still kiss others. It was really scary. The kisses became more and more intense, as if he wanted to swallow me whole. Wife. I was so dizzy from the kisses that I subconsciously responded with an The person on top of me paused in his breathing and suddenly let out a cold laugh. Oh, you're not. This sentence jolted my mind awake. I pushed him away a little distance guiltily. Are you awake? His unfocused eyes told me that he wasn't awake. My heart was pounding violently. My subconscious told me to stop, but I couldn't help it. I stroked his hair. It was soft, and my heart softened too. Yes, I'm not, but I've dreamed of being yours. You're a stupid straight guy. The nerve impulses were slowly crawling along the paralyzed reflex arc towards my brain. I blinked slowly. What on earth was he talking about? Before I could react, something warm hit my eye and slid down the corner of my eye. I reached up and touched it. It was wet. His eyelashes were even more thick after being moistened, like the dense bushes by a deep pool. And at this moment, the pool was overflowing and the tears were pattering down on my face. You're a stupid straight guy who doesn't understand anything. I like you so much. Woo, why are you such a clueless straight guy? He kissed away all my shock and questions, leaving only the tears and broken sobs intertwined. My mind was in a mess. Who was he calling straight? Finally regaining my senses, I grabbed him and wanted to ask clearly, but he tilted his body and fell asleep. I spent the whole night pulling my hair and pacing back and forth. I shook Roman, but Roman didn't wake up. I pulled my hair and paced back and forth, shook Roman, but Roman didn't wake up. In the early morning, I couldn't hold on anymore and fell asleep leaning against Roman. I had a dream all night of being chased by straight men. When I woke up, it was already bright. I saw Roman pacing anxiously back and forth in the room. When our eyes met, he suddenly stopped in his tracks, opened his mouth, but hesitated to speak. We. With a tentative and cautious tone. After a moment of stunness, I hurriedly explained, no, nothing happened. You were drunk, and I brought you back and then went to sleep. Obviously, he didn't believe me. But that's not the point. The point is the words that have been brewing since yesterday afternoon. Roman, I like you. Oh no, I just blurted it out. The speech I had prepared in advance was of no use at all. Although this is what I originally wanted to say, since childhood, our teachers have taught us that only writing the answer without the process won't get any marks. After being so anxious for so long, I actually handed in a 0-score paper. Wait, let's do it again. I scrambled out of bed in a hurry, stood in front of him, mustered up my courage, and was extremely solemn. Roman, The face in front of me suddenly got closer, and the end of my words was completely swallowed up. It's driving me crazy. I want to tell him that I've been attracted to him for a long time. I like the way he looks at me and the tone in which he talks to me. I like his occasional acts of being cool and his acts of being coquettish. I like his meticulous care and thoughtfulness. In a hurry, I reached out to push him, but I couldn't push him. I could only take advantage of the moment when he took a breath and managed to squeeze out a voice. Listen to me first. Roman grabbed my wrist with one hand and forced my palm against his chest. The violent heartbeat and the heaving of his chest caused by rapid breathing were completely felt in my palm. I've already heard it, but I haven't finished speaking. The 2 words, I like, are enough. Roman rested his head on my collarbone and gasped. I can't handle too many words right now. Actually, I'm the same. My mind is in a daze, and the huge happiness has scrambled my nerves into a mess. I don't know how long it took to calm down. He raised his head with a somewhat aggrieved expression. Why didn't you tell me earlier? I originally wanted to confess earlier, but that day I heard you reject Cooper and say that you couldn't be gay at all. Cooper? Roman repeated the name blankly. After a long time, he suddenly realized, I was talking about you. You're so stupid. I've been showing off myself around you until my tail is about to break. And you were still there wondering where that colorful bird came from. It's not that I didn't notice. I just didn't dare to believe it. Was it him who talked nonsense to you last night? I'm going to beat him up. Roman picked up his phone and started typing furiously. It seemed that he was scolding very harshly. At this moment, I finally realized that Cooper simply couldn't bear to see his friend acting like a love-struck puppy around me and wanted to stand up for him. I tugged at him and said, "Forget it. Maybe we still wouldn't be together without his meddling. We might even have to invite him to sit at the main table at the wedding. Wait, there's still one more person to sit at the main table. Why did you add Lily? I thought you were going to date, and you don't like posting on your WeChat moments." I was very confused. What was the connection between these two things? Roman scratched his face, and his voice got softer and softer. Girls usually post on their WeChat moments more often. I wanted to see what you'd be like when you're really in a relationship. I fell to the ground in a daze. Brother, you really are in love. What time is the checkout? 2:00. Roman glanced at the time and casually threw his phone aside. It's still early. There's enough time for me to love you to death. It was already evening when we returned to the dormitory. My roommate's gaze darted between us for a while and said, "Oh, you've made up, right? Why don't you two compensate me? I'm so annoyed. I was worried about you all night." I giggled and secretly held Roman's hand. It was a long time later that I found out that the queen Roman initially drew wasn't me. He secretly changed the name on it. On the day of registration at the beginning of the semester, you pushed the door and came in. The cross ventilation seemed to pierce through my body. There's no reason for a crush. So what if I didn't draw you? I'd force my way into your heart.